So I am Ashleigh Grange, and we are here today with Wellness Begins Within. I have the true honor of being here with my dear friend Roxanne, and I just want to tell you a little bit about this special soul. Roxanne is a transformation mentor who helps people create lasting change by working with the subconscious mind. And through a blend of hypnosis, nervous system support, energetics, and human design, Roxanne guides her clients to shift patterns at a deeper level so challenge feels natural and sustainable rather than forced. And she is the founder of a brand new space that I'm so excited to hear about called the Frequency Nest. And it is designed to support people in how they reconnect with themselves, help them build their own self trust, and create a life that feels aligned and grounded. And so I'm so excited to have her here today to share her perspective, her work, and her wisdom that she is so passionate about. Cue the applause.
Thank you. That's so
I,
nicely read.
I feel like that bio just dives a tiny little bit into what makes you special and what makes you you. And I know that you and I probably first connected around this idea of human design. It's become really a hot topic. It's become really trendy, I feel, in the last number of years. And do you want
Yeah.
to talk a little bit about maybe how you found human design?
Okay, yeah. So just like all the things that are in my life that have stayed, have come and gone, I just f feel like I'm this little thirsty person for knowledge. And especially when it comes to learning about human behavior and patterns and things. So prior to human design, I'd be that one that would do those like quizzes, those personality tests, the Myers-Briggs, those kinds of things. I've tried to do the Enneagram stuff. I'm still not super with it. I don't really understand it, but some people are really into that too. But I feel like it's all in the same category, astrology. And it was a few years before 2020, I remember just being so interested in it. I wanted to learn about it. I don't remember how oh, yes, I do remember. I was visiting, she's now a friend, but I was visiting a psychic medium. She also did Reiki and all the things. Actually, she's in the town that you're in. And I was visiting with her, and she just sort of like was introduced to this by her friend, and she showed me on an app. And then this is what I saw. I'm like, oh, ooh, I don't know what that is, but I want to know. And she was like trying to explain something to me about me, and it kind of resonated, but I don't like it was just whatever happened that day, it just unlocked something. I wanted to know more. So then I bought a book. I'm like, how do I learn about this? Because it wasn't super widely known, but I bought a book and I'm reading and I'm trying my best. And I would even like just kind of copy paste to people and be like, this is you. And sometimes they're like, no, it's not. Because as I know now, it's just such a big giant picture of who you are. Like there's, if I'm just reading about one aspect of you, it may not fully resonate, just like astrology. Like I'm a Scorpio sun, but I'm also Cancer rising. So that adds a little bit of flavor. And uh I feel like some people are like, you're a Scorpio? Certain people, because maybe because of the Cancer rising, I don't know. But I didn't learn about it really because it was just so much. It just was tough. So then when 2020 came, I found another person talking about it in a way that felt a little bit more easy to understand. And then I was just thirsty for knowledge and I learned. I bought so many books. I purchased like courses on it. I just gobbled up all that information. And it's now been, so I guess like 6 years or so since I've been really into it. And I've read for people, I do readings for people, and through all of those people, there might have been one or two that told me, and then they're older folks who didn't quite know their birth time, and potentially there was just a little bit of ego there. I'm just going to say maybe it's because they truly are like, oh, yeah, that does sound like me, but I'm not going to admit it. But there was like two people out of hundreds of people that I did readings for that were like, I don't know if that resonates, but the rest are just like, holy shit, that resonates so much. That does, it is me. And it gives them permission to like be themselves and do what they really want to do in life. And I've had really huge examples of people learning about their own design and then their whole lives changing for the better, major transformation. And then, like, for myself, even, but what I've come to fully realize, I'll talk about what it actually is. I'm just talking about how I discovered it and what it's done for me, but I'll talk about what it actually is. But for anybody that doesn't know, and but what I've realized, what I've come to realize, and I think you've heard me say this a few times, is the basics are the most important. So, like, yes, if it's exciting and stuff, go into the depths and learn all the things. Learn about your
Channels.
channels, which are these lines. Learn about your gates, which are the tiny little numbers. Learn about the centers, which are the shapes. Learn and learn and learn. Learn like what it means when they're colored in and when they're not. Learn about you in connection with other people for sure. However, I feel like sometimes that can pull us away from the basics,
Mhm.
and the basics are the most important parts of human design, and they are what guides us and helps us make aligned decisions. And so I continue to focus on that. And I started to realize that the reason why, like, I started getting way too in my head about things, and I started feeling off when I would do readings. I started feeling way more depleted because I was trying to do it from my head and trying to like take everything that I learned and give it to certain people. But now the way I do readings is way more intuitive based, and I heavily focus on the basics and the things that really matter and give people some real practical ways to utilize it because I think it could confused people more when I was like, and this, and
Of
this,
course.
and this, and this, and this. It's exciting. And then I can give them like 25-page document, which I used to do. And they're like, and so they're like, yes, this is
And what
amazing. I
do
want to
I
know it all.
do with this?
I know. But then I feel like later it's likely crickets because I would send a follow-up email, be like, hey, how'd it go? And they're like, I still haven't read it yet. It's
Yeah.
just probably so overwhelming.
Yeah.
So now it's about like showing them like this might be the most important thing for you to focus on now
Yes.
and then play with it and then return, you know? So human design is you can just like do a quick little Google search, but to me it's like astrology on steroids. So it combines a few different systems that are all ancient systems and they're all combined. And it was channeled in the 80s by one man.
Who's Canadian?
Yes, from Montreal, I believe. And so it just kind of like, it started in the 80s, but I feel like now it's becoming more and more popular, I think, because the world needs it. I feel like we're in a point where deconditioning ourselves is more important than ever as we continue to move forward in this world. I think deconditioning is so important because then it brings us back to us. And there's so many reasons I could go on and on and on why I believe that's can I swear?
You can.
Okay, good. Why that's so fucking important. But I'll wait a second to see if you have any questions.
Well, I do have one question.
Yeah.
And so, something that really comes up for me is when people get really interested in personality tests. And this is certainly true for me, learning about numerology and astrology and the Enneagram and human design, is that oftentimes we're drawn to these systems, perhaps because there's some part of ourselves, or maybe even like all of ourselves, that has felt misunderstood in some way, both in communicating with the outside world and then also communicating with our inner world. Did you feel like there was a shift when you were learning about human design? Like you had a much better, understanding for yourself, maybe had more grace for yourself? How does that look for you?
Yeah, that's a good question, Ashley. Because if I look back before that time, and even leading up to now, and increasingly I'm becoming more and more aligned and authentic to me. Even before when we met, I was way more authentically me. So you wouldn't have known me before then, but I was a people pleaser. Like I would just give and give and give from a place of low self-worth to others to hopefully like I wanted them to like me. And of course I still have a touch of that. Like I don't enjoy it if people don't like me. But it was like so wild living my life for everyone else and becoming burnt out over and over and over. And so one of the things, it sounds so simple, but for some people, it's like, oh my gosh, like with human design, I'm a generator, you're a generator. And one of the most important things is to do things that feel like a hell yes.
Mhm.
And things that don't or kind of are like this meh feeling, it's a no or not right now. And that was one of the hardest, it still is sometimes, right? Like it's one of the hardest things to listen to and continue to trust that if we follow that, that things are going to be okay and that we're not just going to be abandoned by everybody that we love and we are left with
That's a
nothing.
very Cancer rising thing to say.
Yeah,
And
right?
I
It
should say
just,
I'm also a Cancer rising, so
it's scary.
yeah.
And so it was almost like this permission slip, right? Like I could,
Mhm.
instead of me saying like, um, no, I don't want to do that. I could say like, actually, I'm trying this new thing out. I'm experimenting with this way of being, and really, it doesn't really feel aligned. I don't know why. It has nothing to do with you, and it's not because I don't think it's great, but for some reason, it doesn't feel right. And back then, that was really fucking hard for me to say or do. And I did notice shifts. Like some people in my life were like, because they're so used to me showing up for them and doing everything they ask me and saying yes, 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 yes. And then so me starting to say no and no logical reason why, because I could have all the time in the world. I could have the resources to give, but there was my body and my gut was like, fuck no, I
Mhm.
can't. I don't know why, but there's a standstill. And yeah, I think people would get like put off over time. Sure, I've had people leave, like I've distanced, not on purpose, but I've distanced from people by choosing me. I think that's probably kind of what happened. And then people that love me and who choose to stay are being inspired by that.
Mhm.
So by me saying no, even if it feels really weird, to them, the receiving end, I feel like they might be inspired by that. I'm just going to tell myself that's what's happening.
Well, and that's a reflection of how you are in alignment. So as you become more aligned, the people who are meant to be in your life are drawing nearer and nearer, right? Versus,
Right.
if you stayed in a state of not feeling aligned, those
Yeah.
people, it completely affects both your inner and your outer environment.
And how unfair is it to those people?
Yeah.
Like it's like wasting energy, time, and space. It's not. And in human design terms, what I tell my clients is like, if you feel obligated and you do it, even if it's a hell no, or I mean, it's a no, because a hell yes, but if it's a no and you still do it, which happens, I still do
Of
that,
course, of course. Who wants
right?
to do taxes? Not me, but
No. So then it's like, we still have to live in this world.
yeah.
And sometimes there is compromise. I try to reduce that as much as I can because that's a killer of my energy is compromise.
Mhm.
But
Ooh,
there still is. And so like, um, what was I gonna say? I just lost my train of thought.
sorry, I distracted you.
Don't apologize. Oh, I know what it is. So like you do something for someone in obligation. Let's give an example for like helping someone move, right?
Yes.
That's a
Perfect example. Who wants to do that?
yeah. So sometimes it might feel exciting and fun, maybe you get free pizza
Yeah.
Like, who knows?
Maybe it's a road trip. Like if there was a road trip at
That's
the end of the
right.
road, I would totally be on board.
Actually, I did that. I helped with Elena when they
Oh,
moved.
wow. Yeah,
And it
wow.
was fun, and I was
Yeah,
really into it.
yeah.
And I helped another friend when she asked, and I had to run it through my system,
Mhm,
and because
mhm,
she didn't have a lot of people at the time to help her. So if wasn't a hell yes, I'm
mhm,
not sure what I would have said,
mhm.
but it was a hell yes. It was like, I don't know, that kind of feels fun because in that situation, she only had women available to help her. And I was, for some reason, it made me feel kind of powerful. Like, oh, this is fun. No men.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
but say like someone is like, yes, can you help me move? And you just feel like it's a no,
Yeah.
even though you have an
To move to
opportunity.
downtown Toronto, that already my gut is like, oh, no, no,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Yeah. But whatever it is, and some reason your
But other
gut's
people that might light them up, right? They're like, oh, I get to
that's
go to
right.
downtown Toronto.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go see a show or something. Yeah.
That's right. So like then your gut says no. If you followed the aligned path, if you really wanted to play with this, you would say, no, I'm sorry, I can't. If like some people like to try to insert excuses. That's
Yeah. Well,
that's just not really
that's
fair.
that's part of the people pleasing of
It
women.
is.
It's like so, and you notice that in emails too. I can't because like we have to give
Yes.
a reason, whereas men would be like, just nope.
I'd say challenge that and just say,
Yeah,
no, I don't have the capacity right now.
that's right.
And then
It's not aligned.
then you say no, then they're like, fuck, that sucks.
Yeah.
However, then somebody else gets asked, and it is a hell yes, and then they help, and then something happens in that exchange. So maybe they become closer friends and they needed that relationship. Maybe the person who helps them moves bumps into somebody else who then, you know, carries them forward in life in a new way.
They get married.
Yeah, maybe they get
I'm
married.
seeing the vision.
Right? So if we say yes and we're doing it out of obligation, our energy is being drained because we're just like, ugh, like we're not, our energy is behind us when it's a hell yes. But when it's a no and we just do it anyway, it's just, it feels like you're dragging on. So we're not giving that other person a benefit. The benefit is like this tangible thing, cool, we got some help moving, but in the big grand scheme of things, the big picture, if there was a bigger benefit, you may be blocking that.
Mhm.
Or it's kind of a nil energy, but you're being drained. It's not harming somebody by saying yes, but you're being drained. But yeah, of course, like maybe that's alignment. Maybe our alignment in the collective, when we say yes to someone else or something that we really want to say yes to, it's helping to reorganize that collective energy and in a big way. And you know it, when we're lit up, it feels so good to be around people when they're
Yes.
lit up, when they're really in their own alignment. It just feels so good. Authentic people, I love it. Weird people are my favorite because
Weird
usually
and
that means
authentic.
they're authentic. They must be authentic,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, because there's no like set script for for someone to be weird. That just comes out of them
Yeah, I guess
naturally,
we could
like their
fake
natural
weird maybe.
energy.
Yeah.
One thing that I think is really interesting that you kind of hinted at, but you didn't use this language, so I'm gonna use this language. But
Mhm.
it's this idea of people can learn so much about human design, right? You can read all the books, you can dive into all the things, you can have, really you can have all the mentors, all the readings, everything else. But the most important part is actually taking action on it, which is for
Yeah.
me the embodying of it. So I think that's where you kind of take things to a different level that most people working with human design is like you're the most embodied human design person I know. Like you literally live your energy, you live your chart, and you're not afraid to like kind of fool around and see what happens, right?
Yeah. Thank you. That's a huge compliment because it is, it can be tricky to like actually do the thing.
Yeah. And having the space like from people around you that honor the fact that,
Hmm.
maybe what's embodied for you and aligned for you is just like you said, not it's not gonna it's not gonna be a match for them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like it's important, like, because this system really resonates with me, and I'd be doing myself a disservice and everybody else around me, especially if I'm offering readings. It'd be hilarious if I
Yeah.
was like
But
ignoring my own.
how often does that happen in,
Yeah.
the health world, the spiritual world,
Hmm.
right? People talk a lot of stuff, but they're not living the truth of actually being able to use these tools.
For sure. That's why I never talk about parenting because I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm doing it right. So I just am like, I'm staying away from that area of expertise. I'm just gonna focus on like
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
doing in my own life, which does bleed into relationships for sure. Because I can quite honestly say that, and I said this, I was spending time with some people and I had shared this with them, somebody that I'm just getting to know. I was like, I'm so grateful and it feels so good in my life that I get to honestly say that it's a very rare moment that I'm spending time with someone I don't want to spend time with. I
Mm-hmm.
don't even remember the
Wow.
last time.
Yeah.
Anytime, so if we're hanging out, it's because I really want to be
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah. That's
And
a
then
good point.
yeah, same with clients. Like if I have a consultation and it just the vibe doesn't feel right,
Yeah.
um, it just I know that it's not going to work out for some way, reason or another. But when it feels like aligned, it's like, oh, and then so if it doesn't work out, that I still also believe I trust. I trust in a bigger thing also, like super spiritual. I trust that I needed to have that one conversation, even if it didn't mean that we move forward and working together. But that one conversation was important for me, for them, for the
Yeah.
collective. Who knows, right? Yeah.
And maybe the faith and the trust also comes down to, well, because that's the hardest part in business, right? Turning down, people who are ready to
Mhm.
pay you, right?
Yes,
So also having the trust, the faith, the alignment that that money is going to come in from some other place, from some other persons, from some other
for
opportunity.
sure.
That
Mhm.
that is I think that is a big stumbling block for whether or not people truly become embodied. And using systems like this is, well, if I do that, I'm gonna be, living under a bridge
Yeah. What's the guaranteed
as a
outcome?
troll. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the
Terrifying.
guarantee that it's not gonna have a financial impact on the way of life that I'm currently living or the way of life that I want to be living if, a step up
Mhm.
is in your future. So I feel like that can you talk a little bit about that? Like how do we still make decisions, out of alignment that we know are still going to have an impact, positive impact on how we live our lives, and finances
Yeah.
are part of that.
It's tough because part of the conditioning that we've been born into in this society is that we have to have a certain path to feel safe moving forward, or
Mm.
this is what it is. You do step one, two, three, four, and this, and then your outcome will be this. Um, and for some reason, we all like a lot of us just simply believe that, right? So if we're watching someone else do something, we're like, oh, all we have to do is do that, and then that's going to be our outcome. But what I like to, like a practical tool that I give to my clients is like you got to build your trust muscle because this, like a human design, or even just trusting in what's holding us, whether that's the universe, source, God, like trusting, building that trust in that relationship that our internal guidance system is going to bring us to where we need to be, building the trust that source has got our back, the universe has our back. So it's like incremental trust and building it in small ways so that we're not like just leaping and being like,
Out of
someone on a podcast told me to trust and just do shit that I love.
that.
So it's like because I also, now that I'm into hypnosis, I'm also understanding that how the subconscious works too. So there's things that will hold ourselves back if we don't quite feel safe. So um, I believe building that trust muscle incrementally, little things, tiny things. So just kind of like utilizing these tools with human design. Also, I'll give you a link after to one of my free offerings that is just how to start, like using your basic human design knowledge, how to start in the practical ways you can do that. Um, I'm going to write that down.
I'll remember.
Okay. And then, so building it, playing with tinier things so that you can see, like, oh, this is interesting. And then just what your capacity is. Maybe you want to take a huge leap and see what happens. Um, or maybe it's just building it from a small place, like making decisions of what you want to eat. Some people have a difficult time with that. So, us as generators, responding is a huge way for us to, like kind of understand what our directions are in life. And so, if someone says, "Hey, let's go," like if we're going to go for dinner, where do you want to eat? It's like, I don't, it feels off. But if they said to you, "Hey, let's go for dinner. Do you want to go here or here?" And then even better if they show you the two places
Yeah.
or pictures
I
of
want to
the
go to
two.
Thai food.
Yeah. And then
That
that
feels
that feels better. So you're like, "Oh, you decide Thai feels amazing." And then maybe just keep taking note, through your life. And you say you go to this Thai place and then you notice that your energy is just great. You've had a great time, or say you meet somebody or you feel inspired by something you saw while you're there. Connecting those, like looking for the magic in those moments. And if you don't find them again, like just continue on with the next one and just see how that goes. And then another practical thing I say is give yourself 24 hours of trust. So, like, or whatever makes you feel safe. So maybe it is 2 hours. And then you're like, you know what? I'm going to set a timer. And for 2 hours, I'm going to remind myself not to worry, not to try to plan a year in advance, not to try to make large decisions in my life based on fear. And let's just sit here for 2 hours and just be present to life and see what shows up, and not being deflated or disappointed if nothing shows up or there's no signs or anything, but just like giving your nervous system a moment to pause. And then maybe you can extend that. So there was one year in my life, and you might know this, I did this for 365 days. I was like, you know what? I was in a place where I had, based on what I felt intuitively, I'd left my marriage, I had sold my house, I had, what else did I do? I quit my job that was a government job, so it felt like it was more secure than anything else. So I did all this stuff, and there could be a huge reason to be super fearful of the future. And I decided, no, for some reason, I'm feeling guided to do this. I'm feeling a huge pull to do this. And it didn't happen overnight. It took me like a year or two to really feel into it and decide this. Major decisions usually take longer times, depending on your emotional, or I mean your authority. I'm emotional authority, so it takes time for me to make decisions, to come to clarity. But in all of that, letting all of this stuff go. So we still needed to renovate the house to sell to get the biggest, amount for to live off of after we had left. I made no plans, splitting the income with my ex-husband, doing all of that just to, and then in the market, we couldn't just buy a new house. So if we were doing all of this logically, we wouldn't have done what we did, because everyone was like, "Are you stupid? Why are you doing that? Why are you leaving? Why are you doing this?" The rent for homes just was like double. Like it was just insane. And a few different things happened to help me to understand, like, wow, I can trust. Um, One thing that happened was we had to be out of the house to do the renovations in a quick, timely manner. And so, um, but I didn't have any extra funds. We didn't have a lot. And so my income, his income wouldn't have covered all that needed to be done and our living expenses. Two different banks offered me lines of credit for an enormous amount. And I was like, how? I just quit my job. Like maybe they didn't know that, but I was like, what? So then we had the money to do the renovations and to survive off of. we still didn't know when the closing date would be. So then we're like,
You hadn't sold it at this point, right? You're
we
doing
hadn't even
rentals in the
listed
hopes
it.
of, yeah, to put it on
Yeah.
the market.
So we didn't know. I didn't do the math and budget, and which I'm not saying don't do that. I think that's probably the safest place to go. Like, but it's just the way that it worked out for
Disclaimer.
me. Yeah, I'm not a financial you know,
Expert.
expert. I don't know much about it, and this is probably not a safe way to go, but this is what I did. And so like I just kind of was like, I'm just trusting. And then I had discovered on a whim just this opportunity to watch people's houses for free and their pets. So I was like, oh, I don't have to pay for rent, but I can just schedule all of these places to watch. And I did. And so I lived rent free. I gave my son an experience of a lifetime. We watched a hobby farm and we learned how to take care of random farm animals. And it was just so much like meeting new people, meeting new animals, which animals are such
Bonding.
givers. Yes, bonding, giving my son something beautiful while his parents were going through a separation. And then um, finding somewhere we don't have to pay. And then we ended up right at the very last minute. Our closing date was, I don't remember when, but it was like 2 weeks prior to our closing date. We ran out of money.
The
And I
real
was like,
truth, the real truth,
how do
authenticity. We ran out of money.
we ran out of money.
What do
I
we
was like,
do?
shit, how do we actually, can
Finish
I
this
make it
place.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
And then um, it gave me an opportunity to ask for help. And so I asked two people in my family that I love dearly. I was terrified. I very rarely ask for help. I asked for help. Turns out we didn't end up needing that money because, like, in 2 weeks' time, the house closed and then we had an abundance of money again. But that nothing is guaranteed.
Yeah.
How did I do that? And I just kept leaning on that fierce trust. And I'd already built up my trust muscle with other things. And then there was a year while I was separated. I was single. I had no idea. I had money that could sustain me, but I haven't built up my business yet to sustain the income that I was used to and to support the enormous amount of living costs that I all of a sudden saw myself in. And then I just decided, you know what? This will at least get me through a year and some. I am just going to give myself 365 days to trust
Mm.
and see what happens. And lo and behold, it just was the best year of my entire life. It'll still go down, like I'll go down saying that was the best year of my entire life. The amount of people that I met, the experiences, the opportunities, the free experiences, like so amazing. And I'm still here to talk about it. I'm still here. So it's like finding evidence just in your own life. Like, wait a second, when were there times that felt really scary or chaotic? Did I ever get through that? Probably 100% of the time you did. So it's like finding evidence, reminding yourself of those moments, and then starting small. Allow your nervous system to like be able to embrace whatever it is that you're experimenting with, because sometimes that can do the opposite. If we're just like experimenting and going for gold, it could just kind of like make us go back into our little turtle shell, and then we have to do more work to get out. But yeah, does that answer that question?
Yeah, I love that. So I hear so much of us talking about this idea of alignment. And
Yeah.
obviously, intuition is a big part of that too. So you
Mhm.
refer to this as the internal guidance system, which I love. I often refer to it as inner wisdom. Can you
Mm.
talk a little bit about, are those the same? Are they different? How do you navigate using these two powerful tools to kind of, not only
Mhm.
in your life, but also in your business, if that resonates?
Yeah, I think they're the same.
Mhm.
Um, I do, and I think like so. There's so many. I've seen so many things like different belief systems, and some people will say like, no, you have to believe in God, like as some sort of like external thing, or no, it has to be within. It's your insides that you believe. I feel like it's all kind of one and the same. That's my take on it? I don't know. Do we even know what's true and what's real? But for
Not
me,
not in today's society.
no, like it's I don't know, but for me it's this it's this like quiet knowing.
Mhm.
And for everyone, I know it must be different, right? So, and even in human design, so if we just put that kind of lens on it, there's different ways that it will speak to you, and it's always in the body.
Mm.
So, like instinctually, you might get a little like hit, like, oh, why don't you turn left? Or why don't you try this coffee shop today?
Ooh, I
So,
got goosebumps when you just said that.
eh? So next time you go out, I think you got to turn left and go to a different coffee shop. Maybe.
I'll see what's aligned, baby.
Yeah. I'll see what my body says.
That's right.
But yeah,
And
in
that's
human
what we're
design,
encouraging people to do too, right?
yes.
So you kind of
Mhm.
alluded to the fact of like having an emotional authority. So someone who's a generator with an emotional authority is going to be encouraged to make decisions in a different way than someone who is a sacral generator like me. Do you want to
Yes.
talk a little bit about maybe how that would influence people?
Yeah, for sure. So, and this is about like starting to try and trust your way. What
Yes.
I believe is that it's funny because when I talk to you, um, it almost feels like we were conditioned to be the opposite. And this happens a lot when I
Yeah.
talk to other sacral
Yeah.
authority
Yeah.
people. It's like they're conditioned to think that they have to do it in an like the opposite way for what they're
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
aligned meant to do. So you've told me before, like it feels weird. I feel like I have to pause, wait, think about the
Totally.
pros and cons, do all the things, whereas your gut is meant to be an instantaneous yes or no. And there's
So people who
caveats
are
to it.
sacral generators are meant to make decisions quickly in the moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there is a caveat to it. So, like, sure, if, because the reason why you're a sacral generator is because there's a part of you that's undefined, meaning you pick up on other people's emotions. And so, say me and you are together, and I'm like, Ashley, there's this huge opportunity, and it's going to be so fun and amazing. And and I'm super excited. And you're like, woo, you're picking
Yeah.
up on that. And I'm like, do you want to go? And then, right, of course, you're going to be like, yeah. So I feel like the
You
caveat,
sold me.
yeah, and then I leave your aura, and then you're like,
Yeah.
wait,
What did I just
whoa,
agree
I
to? How
don't
much is
want
this going
this.
to cost?
Yeah. So it's like, I think the caveat is when your aura is sort of clear
Yeah.
of other people. So, um, and somebody else may disagree, but I feel like it's important that if you're going to make a decision, just like, just be sure that you're kind of in your own
Space.
space
Yeah.
and practice with it and see like what does it feel like? And usually, so sometimes I'll do sacral sessions with people and I'll ask yes or no questions because that's important for a sacral being to respond. And so testing this out with you, asking you yes or no questions and deciding like, what does it feel like in my body? So it's like, do you like coffee or tea? And then you feel it, like, do you like coffee? And then you feel it in your body. Where in your body? Sometimes it might take some time to get to know this, but you're meant to make instantaneous decisions, even with big things.
Mm.
And that can feel scary to people sometimes because they're like, no,
What if
they're
this goes
conditioned to
wrong,
believe they
right?
got,
Because it's like the next
yeah.
thought. It's like, what if this goes wrong? What if my intuition leads me astray?
Yeah. And then that's another whole perception in itself.
Mhm.
So, say your intuition leads you to something that causes pain or grief or that feels like, what? Why would I be guided to do that?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you needed to learn that lesson for your ultimate goal. I believe when we have dreams and we have goals and we have desires, I believe that they're there for a reason. I believe they're somewhere down on our path guiding us. It's like a little beacon being like, over here.
Mhm.
And then every decision is kind of guiding us towards that light. So, not logically, in human design, it will never be about the head. There's a tiny little like mental authority there, but it's like For the most part, it's never about like your logical brain trying to decide like it costs this much and then this and then this and then no, it's usually in your body, wherever it is in your body. It's not the whole mental um, process where you're like pros, cons, is
Yeah.
this the right decision? Am I going to be judged if I make this decision? Is something terrible going to happen if I do this, this, this? It's just make a decision, play with it, try it.
And that's true of emotional generators too. So they're not intended to do the pros and cons either. How do they
No.
make decisions?
So for us, emotional authority, um, it's kind of like you taking samples. So say this crystal. So we're taking samples of different perspectives. And so like someone asks us, so say you ask me to join you somewhere,
Okay.
and
So
then I and then I'm like, I take my initial sample. So this is, basically like you presenting me this
this is
opportunity.
the idea, yeah.
Yeah, and I take my little initial sample and I feel it. And oftentimes, like, sure, the first one might be what ends up landing as the right choice. However, you still need to sleep on it. They say sleep on it. So at least try to give yourself 12 hours, and then the bigger decisions could take longer, but sleep on it. And 24 hours, I feel like might be the juiciest spot. So
Mhm.
sleep on it. And then as you're sleeping on it, as you're waiting, it changes perspective.
Mm,
And then you get to start to see it from different angles. And then you get the whole picture. And then it's never 100% clarity. That doesn't ever feel like, oh, 100% yes.
yeah.
There's this like, if it's 60%, that's good enough. It's just like getting that whole picture. So if I get asked or presented an opportunity, I'll go through a whole like up and down thing about it. It won't be me trying my best with my brain to logically figure it out. It'll just be me living my experience and living life, being present to life. And then something will happen where maybe somebody will say something and then it will remind me, like, wait, I don't think I want to go. Or maybe something else will, like some other perspective, and they'll be like, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, ooh, I think I do want to do this opportunity. And so if your samples have been, 60% yes, then that's your yes. It just has to feel calm, not frantic.
Mhm.
And when so the emotional authority piece, when you're in sort of a neutral space emotionally, that's the best time to make your decision. If you're really low, that's not a great time. If you're really high, it's not a great time.
Mhm.
And then a lot of good, like a good piece of advice is, that like hustle marketing or like,
Yeah.
you got to make a decision while you're on this call right
Yeah.
now. Otherwise, your life is going to suck. Do it now, or you'll have to pay double
Here's
tomorrow.
my bank card.
Yeah, that is totally wrong for emotional authority people.
Yeah.
Like, no, get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, another opportunity will present itself. It's fine.
You
Yeah.
gave me such a great tip if you have an emotional generator in your life, as I do. And I have a couple. Well, yeah, I probably do. I'm just thinking my son's emotional, but he's a manifester, so a little bit
Mhm.
different energy there. But you
Mhm.
gave me such a great tip, which is so say I say, "Hey, Roxanne, you want to go for lunch?" And in that moment, you're like, or I'll say, "Hey, do you want to go for lunch this time next week?" And
Yes.
in that moment, you'll think about it. You're like, "Yeah, that feels good." Leading up to that, so maybe it's like 3 days before or 4 days before. Hey, do you still want to go? Like, does it still feel aligned for us to go for lunch last Tuesday? Right? Like my energy's committed. I'm definitely going for Thai food.
Yeah.
But closer to the day, it can be helpful to check in with people. And I mean, you're doing this naturally because you are as embodied as you are, but for people who are not, who have an emotional generator, it is a good way to kind of just check in and say, hey, does that still feel aligned? Does that still feel good? You still want to go for lunch on Tuesday, or maybe Wednesday is better for you, right? Depending on how that
Yeah.
comes up. I feel like that's like another way of perceiving this idea of sampling, right? It's like
Yeah,
you're getting
for
a different
sure.
perspective because the crystal is changing. But in
Yes.
a real life scenario, it's like, hey, does that still feel good? You still want to go for Thai, or oh, hey, maybe we're going to Wimpy's. I don't know.
Yeah. Now I want Thai plate. I really do now.
Yeah, exactly. This makes
Um,
sense.
yeah, like I think too, like I mean for yourself. So say because not everybody's going to know human design and going to completely understand you and what you need, but so for yourself, if you have an emotional authority, um, if it's not clear right away, if you don't feel that clear yes, try and say, "Hey, can I let you know tomorrow?"
Yeah, yeah. Be
Those are
comfortable.
really good ways to sort of like help give a little because we're still in relationship with people.
Mhm,
But yes, that is a beautiful way to, especially like, so say children, like with the emotional piece is like give them opportunities to see how do you feel now about it? How do you feel now about it? And that's a great way to say it is how do you feel about it? Because the feeling is what is guiding us, right?
mhm,
Um, and more and more and more, I'm also releasing, because learning about other people and learning about myself, I'm also releasing attachment as to whether or not things work out the way
mhm.
that initially we said it would, you know? Um, but at the same time, yes, we're still in relationship. So I feel like I've said yes to things, and then over time, it's like, oh, I don't really feel like doing this.
Mhm.
I'll still show up and do it because I feel like there's also a piece there where integrity takes the cake and just see what happens. So is that me running into the fire? Is that me abandoning my authenticity or my true self? Or is that me just like being an adult?
Yeah, it's honoring your commitments, right? It's
And
like,
honoring my
yeah,
commitment.
yeah.
However, if it really feels off, I'm
Mhm.
choosing me.
Of
I'm
course.
just going to choose me. That's it. But no, I will sometime because emotional authority people, we can be up and down in a day.
Mhm.
Like it depends how, like, because there's different ways to also like we have different types of emotional authorities and how it works. So I could be affected if I bump into someone who
Yes.
ticks me off or
Mhm.
triggers me. I could be affected. So just because I'm in a bad mood, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm gonna be like, well, the rest of my day's shot.
That's right.
So I think it's just like discernment and playing with it
Yeah.
because you'll know quickly that if you're like, oh, I really don't feel like doing that, and then I do it anyway, and then you feel super drained
Mhm.
afterwards, then you take note and be like, oh, yeah, that was probably one of the times where I should have said no, or I
Yeah.
could have said no.
And I
Uh,
feel like that connects with our intuition too, because sometimes you'll hear people say like, "Oh my," well, you hear the expression like, "My ticker's broken," but this idea of like, "Oh my gut is lying to me." It's like, no, we've
mm,
just gotten to the point where we stopped listening to it, so that when it actually is
yeah,
making a sound, it's like we've ignored it, we've kind of suppressed it, right? It's
for sure.
we either haven't had the space to actually be mindful and hear it,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's probably one of the tools, like that's one of the reasons why tools like meditation can be so helpful. It's like giving you that quiet space so that you can actually tune in and say, like, what is my gut saying? Like, even just from a
100%.
health perspective, in readings that I do with people in the Akashic Records, oftentimes things will come up. If they've got a heavy solar plexus area, they might also have health issues in that area. So things like IBS and Crohn's and pancreas issues and blood sugar. It's like no surprise because these are like key organs that are, coming into influence and impact when we're being in relationship and being in energy with other people. So the
Hmm.
whole body itself can start to speak in different ways that we might not even realize. Like that's intuition. That's our
Yeah.
body's, main language of intuitive giftedness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about, there's so many things I want to talk about, but talk a little bit about how learning about human design and even, feels like a good time to talk about hypnosis too, how learning about these tools has shaped or influenced your business and how much that has changed it?
Hmm. Um, well, the first thing is that it's so much more fun. Like working with things that really feel good and light me up is so much more fun. I used to work in an office. That was my like long time adulting kind of job is working in an office and I just like, and it just felt like I was so far removed from actually directly helping people where I worked. I see value in what I did, but I am so close. I'm like face to face now with
Yeah.
people, which feels so exciting. And at the same time, it's definitely, as you must know, that having your own business is like the biggest personal development thing you could do.
Business and parenting, pretty much. I was just thinking this morning,
True.
like, what
Yeah.
a double whammy to
Yeah.
have both and how much that is affecting your path.
Totally. But yeah, it's like, what a fun way to move through life and in utilizing these tools in business.
Mhm.
So for example, one of the things that I do, I haven't done it for, I got to get back on the train here, but I typically will send out an email once a week. And I've tried to streamline what I do so that it never feels like too much work because I'll just stop doing it, you know? And people actually have responded to my emails saying they love them.
Mhm.
And they're very simple. You've seen them. They're so simple. It's typically it's just like maybe it's a tiny blurb of what's going on and what I have offer, and then it's weekly guidance, and that I utilize the human design collective energy. Human design is so much like it's like astrology where it's changing every single day,
Mhm.
and so I'm giving people weekly guidance for what's going on in the world, and then journal prompts, and then I do. An option to choose from oracle cards. And
Mhm.
then from there, once they choose, it brings them to a page you can read it or you can hear my voice reading it to you. And a lot of people are like, I love this so much. It's so simple, but it is very like boink for them, right? It's
Yep.
very, it resonates with them and it helps them in a big way. And I utilize intuition in this way.
Mm.
So every time I'm choosing something, this weekly guidance is different because maybe I can feel into it but I don't do that. I just sort of like understand and read what's going on in the sky and then I put it down. But when it comes to the oracle cards, I'll just like tune in. Which ones am I placing here today and what spot? There's no rhyme or reason. It's literally my intuition. And people like will tell me time and time again, like, oh, whatever that was so
Love it.
bang on. So that's cool, right? That's so fun.
And
And
you're
then
just trusting, right? You're having faith. You're
that's it.
trusting whoever is meant to have this
Yes,
message will receive this message. And
for sure. And it's bang on for the people that responded.
Mhm.
And then in working with people, there was a time where and it's so wild because now I'm using like my intuition guides me before I even understand what's going on.
Ooh, I
So
love it.
talking about the frequency nest is tricky for me because I still don't quite know where it's going. I have ideas, and the reason why I named it the frequency nest, I still don't quite know yet.
Mm.
And I could try and guess and I can try to insert words to make it sound great, but it's more of this like real gut feeling and my heart just really like lining up like it's this, it has to be this, and this is what's happening right now with it. And then maybe little glimpses into the future or ideas. And there will be a time where me and you talk about this because um, I want to present you with something to respond to in the future in regards to this
Dun dun
new
dun.
online space.
Dun dun dun.
See what happens. Because when I hear the word frequency, you're one of the people that come up in my mind. Like you've been on that front, so in my world anyway,
Some
like
people might say fringe.
what am I wanting to call it? I don't want to say pioneer because it's been around for a very long time, like frequency medicine and all the things. However, when I think of somebody in my real life who is super knowledgeable and really believes in this, and I feel like so many things can fall under the word frequency anyway, but um, you come to mind in spaces and places that I'll probably never touch on. So like hinting towards what I'm going to be asking you in the future. But yeah, no, my intuition guides
My
everything.
gut says yes. I don't know any details. My gut says yes. See how that works?
Yeah, you don't even
A
have to
real
know. It's
life
not a logical
experience.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, of
Yeah.
course. It's like,
And
does your body have energy for this right now?
for
And
sure.
your body will
Yeah,
say yes or no.
absolutely. So yeah, my intuition is usually the front and for like it's front and center. But then what I've learned and the courses that I've took, the books that I've read, the knowledge
People
that I
you run
have
into, yeah.
backs up the intuition piece, right? And oftentimes it comes later, and I'm like, oh, that's why I was thinking of doing
Mhm.
this, or that's why I added this. And it's so fun. It actually is fun. And it's such a wild concept,
Mhm.
but in human design, doing what lights you up is actually your guidance. So even if you don't want to learn about human design, even if you don't care about it, the one sentence for everyone involved is like do more of what lights you up, and that will start to lead you on that path that you're meant to be. A lot of people want purpose. They're like, what is it?
Mhm.
Maybe some people feel it already, but the path to purpose really is doing things that light you up. So I remember what back like when I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing for business. And when people in the real world would ask me, like, I don't know how to explain it. It was really tough, it was easier when I had
Of
normal
course.
jobs. And now that I do hypnosis, usually that's what I'll say first because it's just so much easier. Like it's more widely accepted than anything else that I do. But hypnosis is basically really like so yes, there is like science behind it, and it's working with the subconscious and helping to, you know, decondition. Again, that's another way to decondition is to help your subconscious start to feel safe and believe the things that you really want to, like your goals, getting you there, right? Increasing confidence is one. I use it every single day to just really help myself feel grounded and connected and on purpose. And then, because everything else, like subconsciously, we're pulling in so much shit. So if we can sort of take the reins and start to intentionally
Mhm.
bring stuff into our mind, it will help us out in a big way. Again, it'll guide us back into that intuition, that inner wisdom, inner guidance. But there was one time I was like, I want to call this uh, I forget what I called it. Maybe it's energetic playground or something. And at the
Okay. Yeah.
time, I was
Yeah.
like charging $25. It was just so cute and fun. It felt like, and I was like, I don't know. What I'm going to do is just do this thing, and then when people come to me, I'm just going to intuitively feel into what they need and whatever resources I have, I can offer them. And I would do that. And it was fun and great. And little did I know, fast forwarding like a couple years into the future, I'm doing that now. I'm doing that with my hypnosis clients is like it's very an intuitive process. Even the people that aren't, they wouldn't claim to be spiritual or intuitive. They're like, it's bang on. It's exactly what I need. So it's cool that I get to integrate the thing that one day my intuition was like, you need to do this. I didn't know what it would look like and how I'd present it. But now I'm presenting it to people that aren't even, because before I would work with
Yeah.
exclusively people that were like into all
Yeah.
this kind of stuff, energy, healing, and spirituality. But now I'm able to bridge the gap between like people that just seemingly aren't into that,
Yeah.
but little do they know they're into it. Working with me, it's fun. It's great.
And they feel that energy too. It's like they're resonating with what you're sharing, and then they see the benefits for their own health and well-being too, right? So it's
Yeah.
like they take that hypnosis session and then they're able to go home and maybe they listen to it every day for seven
Hmm.
days and they're able to quit smoking or lose weight or whatever, you know. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty powerful. I first heard about hypnosis maybe 15 years ago, 20 years
Hmm.
ago, with a story with a friend who lost an enormous amount of weight doing nothing other than several hypnosis sessions, and it was truly obviously life changing. She's been able to keep the weight off for years and years and years, which is
Oh.
just amazing.
Hmm.
But it's like that inherent pattern that was keeping in place, that traumatic
Hmm.
event, maybe a comment someone made, maybe it's a past life issue. You could go in all kinds of directions, but somehow, some way, it became embedded in the subconscious, and then
Yeah.
we're basically just like, it's like, giving the subconscious a new language or a new thing to play with and say like, hey, but what if it was easy to lose weight? What if it was easy to, kind of just eat the things you love and not gain weight, right? Like you could go in
Yeah.
all kinds of directions with that.
Hmm. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like we could talk for another 18
I
hours, which,
know.
which is usually which is usually what we do, but I
I
wanted
know.
to leave space for you
Hmm.
to share about offerings. Where can people find you? What are you really like into right now that you want to share? And then of course we can put it in the show notes so people can find it later.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Right now, so I'm working on branding with for
Mm,
my new website,
yes.
thefrequencynest.com. And that, I've been working under a different name, Everlasting Light, for a while, but this is something new and different, and I still don't quite know exactly what it entails yet. But for now, it's this online space. It's a wellness space that right now will contain recordings like hypnosis recordings. It will contain like things, it does contain things like that
Yes.
meditation
Oh,
that we
yes.
I created based on the experience we had,
Mhm.
and just anything that's to do with healing the subconscious. um, I threw in some human design things on there, but it's basically an online wellness space that my goal is to build it up to a spot where it can be like kind of this one-stop shop where
Mhm.
people can come to and get what they need, and it's a bit more accessible. So, working one-on-one with me, for some people, it just doesn't fit in their budget. But if they can move forward and do something that's very similar, they just don't get the one-on-one experience, then it can be, a lot easier on their wallet, but it can still be really helpful. And my future idea is to house other things too, and that's kind of alluding to things that I want to ask you in the future, and we can talk about that. But just to house a bunch of things that you can kind of just go to and grab, and right now there's
It's
just,
like the sampling energy too. It's like you pop in
yeah,
and maybe listen to a
for sure.
meditation. You pop in, watch a video, and maybe you
Yes.
like download some affirmations or whatever you're kind of like
Yeah,
feeling lit up by and what you're inspired by when you're
for
seeing
sure.
clients and kind of seeing a need for it too, right? Because as we see clients, we realize like, oh, my understanding of this particular scenario is like I might have one thing to offer, and now I'm like, oh, there's this completely different tool that would really benefit this client or this particular type of client.
Exactly. And there's this program that I just it's still in the works. I've completed the bones of it, and so
Right?
it's ready and available, and I'm offering a huge discount because the bones are there, and I'm wanting to add like video and
Yeah.
more structure, or more meat and potatoes.
Do you want to say a couple lines about that and how what that looks like, or is it
Yeah.
still in the
No,
shape
for sure.
shifting
It's
phase?
it's
Yeah.
accessible right now.
Yeah.
It was birthed first for my weight loss clients because typically I work with people for about 6 months, and I notice that once the 6 months piece is done, I really feel like I want to offer them something more so that they can continue the path. Because working together one on one helps to create this beautiful customized foundation, understanding parts of them that maybe they didn't understand, like you were saying, like what's getting in the way of me wanting to lose weight. So, but I was noticing, as a lot of people do when they start to create sort of a digital offer, is there's similar things that are across the board with everyone. So I put them into a program to help people once they leave, working with me to continue on. And so I give that to my clients for free, but I also wanted to offer it to people that, are just ready to dive in. And then as I was creating it, I'm starting to realize because I had another client that she wasn't necessarily in like interested in losing weight piece, but she had a different goal and it was wellness based too. And then I started to think like she can go through this. So she purchased the program and was taking her unique goal through that. And just I started to realize this can be for anybody really, because think about like, okay, I want to lose weight, but why? Why? You get down to the core essence of why, and usually that why ends up being like there's so many different reasons
Yeah.
like why we have goals in life. It's usually to get to that core why.
Mhm.
So I was like, wait, this program can be for anybody.
Yeah.
So that's my offer. And of course I'll be tweaking it, but because it's still just the bones, because it's still in, refinement, I want to give your listeners 60% off.
Yay.
I'm giving people in my world 50% off, but
Yeah.
for you, 60%. I mean, come on.
Yay. Do you want to say the name of your program? Do you have a name? Is it
It's
all
called release.
release? Yay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
release.
Yeah. And literally, like, it's funny that I started talking about weight loss and I didn't know what the program was about. So just as you said,
That's
it's
awesome. I thought you
the
were just doing
theme.
your homework.
No, no.
It's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Actually,
In
my
the moment.
intuition.
Exactly. Speaking of intuition, yeah, and it's funny because it's one of those things that we often associate with hypnosis, but sometimes you can see the true life impact and how that just changes people's lives, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And you have to pick the coupon code because
Yes,
you get to decide because
I
I think
shall.
that's fun.
I
Mhm.
shall. Um, do you want what final words do you want to leave people with as they kind of
That's
oh
a tough.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
here, final words.
Mm.
In a world that feels chaotic, our
Yes.
power is in coming back to center, supporting our nervous system. I know we hear that a lot, but why not? Like, just, I think that's like a big way to come back to center and learning to trust and building that trust muscle, learning to trust in ourselves and our inner guidance. And or whatever feels best and more like easier to grasp, source, universe, God, whatever that is for you. But yeah.
Mm. I love that. And especially the world is, as you said, chaotic, not just our personal worlds, but the collective
Yeah.
world. And that will bring people a lot of peace, realizing that, being intentional with ourselves makes all the difference, right?
Yeah, and you can move through like we can do it. We can exist in this chaotic world and still find beauty, find peace, find magic in the mundane,
I love.
love, compassion, connection. It's still there. And like, why not do what we can to like find our center so that we can be better in this chaotic world. We can support more people. We can live through like less out of fear and franticness and desperation and more from a place of like centered groundedness and more empowerment because I think a lot of people also feel disempowered right now. So is there ways, even if it's small ways, that we can feel empowered and feeling like we can make aligned choices even in the tiniest ways?
It's that little micro movements, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you think about like that whole like
It becomes
uh
overwhelming.
yeah, the saying like, put your oxygen mask off for
Of
you
course.
first before everybody else. But I even think of it as like say you're in a boat and then someone is drowning and you want to help them.
Mm.
If
Yeah.
you're fearful and distracted by all the things going on around you and all the fear and the scariness, then you start to flail. How are you going to help that person? How are you going to be that grounded center that you can just kind of reach out and be like, I got you.
You're going to be the lighthouse.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, I like that. I like
Yeah.
that analogy. Yeah.
Yeah. I see that.
Hmm.
I love that. I thank you so much for
Thank you. I
chatting
could
with
stay
me.
here forever.
I know I want to stay here all, but then I'm like, oh, what's for lunch?
Yeah, I'm getting hungry too.
I love it. So I'll put all the links that you sent me in the show notes, and I'm so excited for people to dive in more, to see your wisdom, to really experience what it's like to be in your energy, which I don't think even people realize, like, just the profound change that can happen, right? Human design is a perfect example of how just even coming into contact with someone else can change our
Yes,
lives and change our path.
huge.
So, and
Hmm.
I'm gonna leave people with what I think is one of the most profound things that you said today, and there were a number, but the path to your purpose is really what lights you up.
Mm, yeah,
I
yes,
had to write it down. I
100%.
got to
Yeah,
put that in
thank
the show
you.
notes too. That's going to go
Thank
in the show
you.
notes. I love
Yeah.
it so
And
much.
how simple does that sound?
Yes, yes,
Right? Let's
exactly.
play with that.
Oh,
Let's
it's
experiment.
funny. Lighthouse lights you up. I like
Yeah.
it. We're on a little bit of a theme here. Everlasting
Yeah.
light.
Everlasting light, which is still my Instagram handle, so
That's
I'll
right.
still be playing over there too
For now.
for now. Mhm.
So I'll put everything in there, and yeah, I'm just really excited for people to get to know you better and have a chance to share this conversation where really it felt very aligned and very intuitive for how we got to this place. And now we're
Yes.
able to hang out and chat, and I can't wait to see you
Yeah.
again soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.